YouTube Ozic Owen, the Go Nows is back with some more NFL free agency predictions. This is our third video. We got free agents, a bunch of free agents in each video, and I'm predicting where they'll go and where else they could go once free agency opens. We'll have a bunch of signing grade videos once it all starts. Instant news and takes on our Twitter. Links pinned in the comments for anything you're looking for. Help us get to 100K. We much appreciate it. Start with Gabe Davis. Really like the Browns and the Giants. It's kind of tough to predict between the two. I'm going to go with the Browns. Spoiler, in the first video, I had the Giants getting Calvin Ridley. I think they're going to try to go bigger in terms of more talent than Gabe Davis, but he's played under Brian Daboll in Buffalo, obviously. So if they miss on a guy like Ridley, then I would predict the Giants. So if they're not getting rid of somebody like that, so watch out for the Giants here, and the Giants can be pretty active in free agency. Browns in the process of clearing some space. They'll do that. I do like the fit. Dorsey is also there, so kind of a connection. They're looking for, because Amari Cooper's kind of that do-it-all type receiver. Elijah Moore is strictly a slot receiver. I guess the argument against this is Cedric Tillman and Gabe Davis, very similar receiver, but you get better with with Gabe Davis right now. I'm going to go Browns, but again, if the Giants don't get that big time, like the bigger receiver, better receiver, then watch out for them with Gabe Davis. Bears, Panthers, Rams, and Chiefs are teams I'd watch as well. I know the Rams looking for kind of a physical outside receiver. We know the Panthers are looking for one as well to pair with Thielen. Bears, something to pair with DJ Moore. Chiefs could be sneaky. Next, we got Xavien McKinney from the Giants. They're trying to get him back. They didn't tag him, though. The reason they didn't put that transition tag on him is in case they lost him, then they can't get a compensatory pick. So that tells me they, in their mind, are like, there's a shot we might not be able to sell. Like, somebody's going to make a better offer than us, better than what the transition tag was. So the same time of them wanting to get him back, I think deep down they know, like, I feel like they're not absolutely desperate to get him back. They don't know how well he's going to fit the new defense. He fit Martindale's. Will he fit Bowen's? But they're trying to work out a deal. But I think somebody probably comes along just based on, the Giants' reasoning for not transitioning tagging him. I think somebody comes along and scoops him up. Packers probably need multiple safeties. He's a versatile guy that fits, pretty much any scheme. I think it's a guy that they'll be looking, a type of player they'll be looking for. I don't think they're going to be looking for your traditional, like, one type of safety, like that only can play one coverage and is stuck at free safety or strong safety or wherever. So I know, like McKinney, there's been some buzz about that as well. Titans looking for that style of safety as well. Would also fit in Dan Quinn's defense with the Commanders. Jags looking for safety help. Eagles looking for safety help. And possibly the Colts as well. So, what I like about McKinney, young, still getting better. Again, versatile piece. You can blitz him. You can put him at free, strong, in the box, whatever. So that's today's type of safety. So I think he probably can get paid maybe more than people think, perhaps. Next, Josh Jacobs. I'm going to be very honest here. I don't know if I've ever done this with the free agent, but to be very honest, I really don't have a clue where Josh Jacobs is going to go. We have to make a prediction on him because it's a big-time free agent. It's weird right now with Jacobs because at the end of the year, it felt like, they're sitting him, they're using Zamir White a bit, and he looked pretty good, and it's like, all right, I don't think Jacobs is going back to the Raiders. I just do not see it. There's been some talk that both sides would like, he would like to return. They would like to get him back for the right price, so that's kind of messing with me right now. And I have legit landing spots for Barkley, for Henry, for the other running backs we're about to talk to. So that kind of leaves, could he go back to the Raiders? I don't see it, but there's been some talk. I know the Patriots are looking for some running backs. It seems like their type of back here. I know they have Stevenson. He wasn't that great last year. Is he going to fit the new scheme super well? I think Jacobs would be a big upgrade and a guy they can have around for the future. They have a lot of spending money. So I'm going to go with the Patriots. This is probably for me, out of the top, like some of those smaller free agents, those are always tough to predict because they're going to be cheap. They can go anywhere. Anybody can afford them. But out of the top free agents, he's by far the toughest one to predict here. But I'll go Patriots. Could end up with the Ravens if they miss on Henry. Texans, Cowboys, if they want to. I don't know if I see the Cowboys as much as some of the other teams here, but Bears and Eagles could see as well. But going to go Patriots. Again, at the end of the season, definitely did not see him returning to the Raiders, but now it's a little bit more possible. Next, another running back, Tony Pollard. I'm going to go with the Eagles here. A lot of talk about the Eagles getting Saquon. That definitely could happen. I'm going to go Pollard. I think they're going to spend more money in terms of pass rusher, linebacker, safety, so maybe not spend as much as Barkley, but, the next step down in terms of Tony Pollard. Kellen Moore there, obviously there's a good fit. He's played in his offense. It makes a lot of sense to me. I think they can outbid the Cowboys here. But he said he could go to Cowboys for, if Eagles offer a little bit more in the Cowboys, just a little bit, he could go to the Cowboys. Definitely could see that. But Cowboys don't have a lot of spending money, and they also have their priorities set in different spots here, possibly. I mean, running back's got to be up there. Could see the Vikings. I think it's a really good fit in Kevin O'Connell's offense. Let's see if they want to spend that money. Ravens, Texans, Bears, and Commanders could be sneaky here. I could definitely see. I mean, Dan Quinn's there, but would like him in Kingsbury's offense, and it depends on their thoughts on Brian Robinson, But that's kind of a sneaky one that I could see. Next, Austin Eckler. I'm going to go with the Commanders here, actually. Antonio Gibson, a free agent, very well can get him back. I think they're looking for somebody like a 1-2 punch, like where they have two number ones with Brian Robinson and a guy that's different than him, and that'd be Eckler, more of a scat, pass-catching guy. So that made sense. Good fit in Kingsbury's offense. They're not going to be afraid, even though they probably should be in rebuild. They're not going to be. I guess it's debatable if they should be or not, because they do have talented pieces over there. They're not going to be, though. They're not going to be afraid to get veterans here. I like that fit a lot. He'd probably be on the cheaper side, but the Commanders do have plenty of space. I can see the Raiders, if they don't get Josh Jacobs back, a guy to pair with Zamir White, a 1-2 punch here. Tom Telesco is the general manager of the Raiders now, was with the Chargers for some time, so very familiar with Eckler. The argument against that, he was a little hesitant to give Eckler the bag, but I think everybody is, so he's going to realize, okay, I'm not going to get the bag, so I'm going to go where I'm going to get some playing time. Eagles, Vikings, Texans, Patriots, Giants are definitely teams I could see as well for Austin Eckler. DeAndre Swift, I'll go with the Chargers. So I think a good fit for, Harbaugh style of football, like, tough running back here, former top recruit. Harbaugh, definitely going to think highly of him, since then, and his time in the league. So it shouldn't be overly expensive, even though he had a pretty good year. Chargers will need a back in there. They're a little thin on cap space, so we'll see how they make things happen there. But the Eagles are a possibility going back there, obviously. I think they might look to get Barkley or Pollard first, actually. And if they don't, if they miss on those guys, then I think it could be Swift, unless he's already off the board. Browns could be sneaky. I know they have Nick Chubb, but coming off that injury, does have injury concerns. Deuce Staley's there, has Coach Swift, so that makes actually some sense. Giants, Commanders. I do like the Commanders for him as well. The Commanders are going to be sneaky when it comes to running backs. I watch out for Eckler. If they don't get Eckler, watch out for Swift. Tony Pollard, it could be sneaky with him. Bears, Vikings, Ravens, some other teams that need. The Ravens, if they miss on Henry, I'd watch out for Swift as well for Baltimore. So running back free agency should actually be very fun, hopefully, this offseason. Jordan Poyer, I'm going to go with the Jags. I think it's a solid fit in Ryan Nielsen's defense. They'll mix up the coverages. I mean, obviously, he's really solid in the split safety scheme, which we'll see a little bit of that. I think the Jags will actually be after more the bigger, he's as good as those guys, but the younger and bigger free agent safeties, kind of have them going elsewhere. But if the Jags get one of those guys, that kind of messes up all my predictions. That's why it's very tough to predict. So if the Jags end up getting Xavier McKinney or someone like that, then that sends Poyer somewhere else. I do like the fit with the Bucks, pairing him with Winfield. I definitely could see that. I definitely could see them. Todd Bowles pairing him with Winfield. Giants, if they miss on McKinney, really good fit with the Saints. I think more so looking for more of a free safety to pair with Tyrann Mathieu, but I wouldn't put it past them to pair both those guys together. They can make it work because it's a split safety defense anyways. But it's more man coverage with your split safety. Steelers, it's a good fit pairing with Minkah Fitzpatrick. They're trying to run more cover too. In Cowboys, and then they'll run a little bit more cover too under Mike Zimmer. Poyer could fit that. They have some safeties though, so that could be a little bit of a wild card, but I like the fit. Just really with these predictions, again, I just they're not all going to be accurate. I base it just strictly off fit. I know fit especially with defensive backs. When it comes to coverage fit, what teams are trying to run. But some teams switch it up year to year. Next, we got Kamren Curl's an interesting one. There's a lot of fits for him. I'd be a little careful with him, though. He's been a very good young safety, but doesn't have that ball production. He's not going to be a single high guy or anything like that. I think another guy that's going to fit in kind of a split safety scheme. I think specifically cover 4 is what he can thrive in, but you wish there was a little bit more ball production, playmaking skills there, but very solid. I like the Rams, and this is a little bold because the Rams have not valued safety, in quite some time. They don't want to spend a lot of money there. I think Curl goes less than expected because the safety market is kind of crashing a little bit unless you're that crazy versatile piece that can run any coverage and play any safety position or even a slot position. And he doesn't have that ball production. So I think he actually is going to go big time safety in free agency, but I think he's going to be a little cheaper. I could be wrong, but a little cheaper than expected. So that kind of could leave the door open for the Rams here, who need to get better at safety. They don't have Raheem Morris anymore, but they hired an in-house guy. I think they're going to continue to run a lot of cover 4. It's a really good fit. It's a beautiful fit with the Jets. Even if they get Jordan Whitehead back, but they got to pay him, or they're going to pay double. They're going to double down with paying at the safety position. Not so sure, but they can get him instead of Jordan Whitehead. But I like the fit a lot. Seattle looking for somebody. Jacksonville, Tennessee, Denver. Again, fits the Saints a lot, but how much could they spend? And the Giants. But interesting one here. Very curious to see where he lands. I do like the Rams, but are they just going to go for the super cheap safeties again? I would recommend not, because I think the safety play could have been a lot better, in that playoff game specifically for the Rams. Robert Hunt, tough one. The guards are going to get paid. We knew that. Then Kevin Dotson got paid $16 million per year, and then Hunt is arguably, I think, between him and Onwenu, the top guard in free agency. Hunt I liked a lot out of Louisiana, and I thought he had a ton of upside, and he kind of just got going recently, so I still think he has a lot of upside. Commander's going to be desperate for interior offensive line help, or just offensive line help in general. So that's why there's so many teams that are looking for guards, and there's so many teams that I think more teams actually be higher on Hunt than on Onwenu. You could say Onwenu, his ability to play tackle or guard, great. Hunt could actually do the same, but he's going to play guard. But I actually think teams would like Hunt a little bit better. So I think a ton of teams will view him as a fit. I think he's more scheme versatile as well than Onwenu. So I think every team I listed I love is a fit. They're all going to make an offer. All these teams I have listed are all going to make an offer. So it was a tough prediction. When it comes down to it, I kind of went with he's probably going to get an insane amount of money, more than you think. He's worth a lot of money, but somebody's going to have to overpay, basically. And the Commanders, with the most cap space in football, that was kind of my deciding factor, and badly need offensive line help. So went there, and then the Niners will look for a guard as well. The offensive line play could definitely be better. Played in Mike McDaniel's offense. He'll definitely fit Shanahan's offense. So Dolphins might have a hard time getting him back because he's going to get an insane amount of money. But Giants, I definitely know. I had them getting Jonah Jackson in the last video, but if they get Hunt, Hunt would be better, but more expensive. It's definitely a possibility. And you see some other teams. I could see the Raiders as well. Other teams that'll fit. KJ Osborne, one of the more underrated, sneaky free agents. He was a little off this year, even though he was productive, but he did have Jefferson and Addison ahead of him, and they're throwing the ball to Hawkinson a lot. 2 years ago, he was clutch, big time for the Vikings, and really solid after the catch as well. Still young, still getting better, a guy that can play in the slot or play outside. I think the Panthers will like him, pretty solid deal. Adam Thielen there, going to speak highly of Osborne. I think he could be productive. Just seems like a guy to pair with Bryce Young in that offense, a guy that kind of can do dirty work, or where Bryce Young's scrambling, you get Osborne coming across the field really good after the catch. So I do like that fit. I think the Saints would like him as well. They're not going to be able to spend a crazy amount of money, but they're looking for another receiver. That makes a lot of sense there. Kubiak is there as well, familiar with the Vikings background. Definitely could go back to the Vikings, but would be receiver 3, probably looking to be a receiver 2. Broncos make some sense if they trade one of the other guys. Definitely makes sense. The Cardinals, I like the Cardinals as well. We'll see what they do with Hollywood Brown. Seems like a Ravens type guy, and he would be receiver 2 behind Zay Flowers, and they can't spend a ton of money, so that makes sense as well. Colts could look for, he'd probably be receiver. He would be receiver 3, but Then they would get the most out of him there in that offense. He went crazy in that crazy comeback game against the Colts. So maybe the Colts remember that. I know it's a little bit different step, but the front office is obviously the same. So just a random thought. Maybe they think highly of Osborne there. Next we got Jordan Brooks. Kind of like a random prediction. He's like, first round pick, got upside, has durability concern, like a true middle linebacker. I like him. Mike Zimmer's defense in the middle. Cowboys definitely need some linebackers. I am a big fan of Overshown, who they drafted last year but got injured. So, I think he'd be more of the outside guy that Zimmer would blitz a bit. But I like Brooks on the inside there, and he won't be overly expensive. The Cowboys can't be big spenders this offseason. Could go back to Seattle. Mike McDonald could work with them for sure. Eagles would fit. I like the Broncos fit. Ravens if they're replacing Patrick Queen. Titans, Commanders, Chargers I also could see. But I do like that Cowboys fit in the middle there in that Mike Zimmer defense. So we'll see. Kind of a random prediction there. Sheldon Rankins, a little random as well. Could go back to the Texans. I think they're kind of looking for an upgrade there. Broncos back with Sean Payton. He's familiar with him in New Orleans. Could they move on from some guys up front? Could use somebody anyways. Aaron Glenn, definitely familiar with the Rankins and who is with the Lions. I could see them pairing him with Aleem McNeil on the inside. Could go back to the Texans. Bears if they miss on some of the bigger guys. Dolphins, Browns, Cardinals, Raiders are teams looking for a D tackle like Rankins as well. Next, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. A lot of buzz about him going back to the Eagles. I'm going to say he's going to go to the Titans. Just kind of a thought there. And they'll be looking for a do-it-all type defensive back, like a slot corner / safety. I feel like they'll be in the market for that. So I'm going to go Titans, even though there's been some buzz about the Eagles. Maybe my next guess very well could go. It's probably the easier prediction. But Broncos with Sean Payton there could see it. Seahawks looking for some DBs. I think when you have Julian Love, though, so maybe you go with more of a true, if you're going to get a slot guy or a free safety or a strong, just a true position guy. Could go back to the Lions. I don't think they really need him. Roll with Brian Branch out there, similar style players. Steelers like to fit there as well. Texans and Commanders are other teams I could see. Darnell Savage, kind of a random prediction because Cardinals don't necessarily need a safety at the moment. Could they move on from Budda Baker? They could. He's a guy that plays free safety or in the slot. Jalen Thompson, more of your strong safety. A lot of split looks over there as well. So at first glance, you may say they might not need Savage. Savage is a guy that plays free and plays in the slot, so like Budda Baker, but they're different styles at the same time. But Jonathan Gannon's so good with defensive backs. He's very good at versatile defensive backs. He's going to run a different mixture of coverages. Saw a lot of cover 6 with Philly. Extra guy, running 5 defensive backs at the same time. I think they can make it work, and they could move on from Budda Baker. Just seems like a Jonathan Gannon guy here, and I still think Savage has a lot of upside. So I like that fit. It is a little bold, though, because they may not add a safety at all. Like, they may stay put, and that's fine. But I just really like that fit. Like, put him in the slot when Budda's, if they keep Budda, is at free safety. Put Budda at. I like Savage's upside at free safety. I think this could be like a C.J. Gardner-Johnson where he's playing, in the back end, or he's playing in the slot for Gannon, but with upside could actually be better. So, I like it. I could see Seattle too. Mike McDonald's defense could go back to the Packers, and some other teams I list as well. I think the Steelers would be looking for a guy like this as well. Rams makes sense. Bills make a lot of sense where they brought Rasul Douglas works so well from the Packers. They can bring in Savage as well. Just depends on how expensive he is. Shouldn't be overly expensive. So the Bills are a sneaky team to watch there. Some more free agency fits that I like. Xavier Howard with the Raiders. A.J. Dillon I like with the Raiders as well. If they don't, I'm floating right now. Here we go. No longer floating. Unless they bring Josh Jacobs back, then I don't think Dillon's going to go there. But I really like Dillon with the Raiders if they don't. Zamir White, A.J. Dillon. Kenny Moore with the Bears. I don't think Moore, and you may say, well, they already spent big on Jalen Johnson. They have Tyreek Stevenson. Yes, I agree. I don't think Moore is going to be as expensive as people think. I know it's a big name, but people like the younger corners right now. And I think he kind of needs a cover 2 team, and where he plays a slot and plays outside. I think he goes back to Matt Eberflus in that cover 2 defense and plays the slot. Actually, is my thinking there. Shaq Barrett like to fit with the Ravens. Veteran pass rusher won't be expensive. Zach Moss, kind of a random thought. Pairing Zach Moss with Tyjae Spears on the Titans. He ran well against the Titans last year too, so maybe they like that 1-2 punch. Josh Uche back with Brian Flores and the Vikings. I had some Vikings fit predictions that I already made. Emmanuel Ugba, I can see back with the Vikings. Devin White, I can see with the Vikings. So I kind of had those in other videos, so I didn't see the reason to do it again here. Laken Tomlinson back with the Niners. CJ Uzomah back with the Bengals. So some guys going back to where they started, making sense there. And then some big-time free agents we didn't talk about because I think they're going to go back, most likely Marquise Brown, but could the Cardinals get outbid? Heard he can get overpaid. It's an overpay candidate. Titans, Bears, Panthers, teams like that. DJ Reader should go back to the Bengals. Raiders, I think, would be after him as well. Frankie Lavu should go back to the Panthers. Levante David, I don't see him playing anywhere but the Bucs. Could be wrong. Bourne and the Patriots already working on a deal. Chase Young and the Niners would like him back. He played pretty well in the Super Bowl, but there could be a team out there that, I could see Seattle offers more than the Niners do. Whitehead played so well with the Jets last year. I don't know if anyone's going to value him more than the Jets. And then Dalton Reisner, seems like he wants to be in Minnesota, and he played very well for them last year. So one of the top guards, I think, could go back as well. So, again, not going to be 100% right here. Kind of just base it off of fit. Sometimes teams get desperate, and they're like, all right, we need this position. This guy hasn't really played our style of football, but we can make it work. That happens all the time. So that's where I think my predictions go wrong. And that's just going to happen. That's the fun of it. So excited about it. May update some predictions here on Sunday. Already have some change in thought on some guys, mainly because the Eagles are going to trade some of their pass rushers, so they're going to need pass rushers. So they are now landing spots for some of the big pass rushers. So that's kind of where my head's at. They could be players in Daniel Hunter or Bryce Huff, I thought. So we will see. That's going to do it for this one, though. There's 3 of these videos now. This is the 3rd one. We have a trade video just like it as well. Always talking with you guys about instant updates, news, and takes on our Twitter. So if you enjoy our stuff here, definitely follow our Twitter. But that's going to do it for this one. Thanks everyone for watching. Goodbye.